It's like, oh, I don't feel very good, but rather than tackling the reason why I don't feel good, I'll just plaster over it with a quick, easy, instant fix of something or other, right? So it's very another key component of addiction and what drives people to become addicts. And we're all addicts in one way or another, right? It's a natural, normal part of being human, even though it's got a lot of stigma attached to it because people associate addiction with crime, with being weak in some way, maybe with having a faulty personality or being broken on the inside. Pretty much everyone is living a life that is some sort of dance between habit and novelty, doing things that are familiar and doing things that are new and different. And we're all sort of, to a greater or lesser degree, walking on that line between those two. And that's all an addiction is. It's something that's familiar, that's reassuring, that is repeatable, that is reliable, but often is detrimental over the long term. And so that short term versus long term is a really key thing to bear in mind and to be aware of as well. So going on, he talks about a 2012 study at Columbia University, which found that the number of meals a family shares decreases the likelihood that young adults would use drugs. So this is the importance of family connection, of family time, of doing things as a family, being around the table. There's studies showing that actually that increases the well-being of a child and lowers the chances of them turning to drug use, which is great. And then there's some explanation here about there's a paradox of being on the internet, which he describes as to be always and never alone. You might feel less lonely while you're connected to virtual friends or virtual sex, but the prolonged isolation from engaging with devices instead of people only intensifies and entrenches loneliness and depression. Yeah, so you're getting this like fake version of what you want, and it's never going to satiate or satisfy you, kind of like that Scylla creature with a unsatisfiable appetite, can never be fed, like a hungry ghost. It's the same sort of concept. You get a fake version of it, but it's like eating crisps that we say in England, or chips, as you might say in America. You can eat them and binge them and eat them and eat them, or French fries. You can eat them and eat them and eat them all day long. They never make you feel full because protein is what triggers the sensation of being full. So you can gorge yourself on junk food that doesn't contain protein and you will never feel like you've had enough. And this is why it's so easy to binge eat certain things like ice cream or French fries or crisps or cookies or whatever. That's the reason. Whereas if you ate 3 ribeye steaks, or as much of ribeye steak as you possibly could, that massive protein intake is going to switch off your appetite like you wouldn't believe. And just looking at a cookie or a crisp or some sort of deep fried snack, there's going to be no desire there to eat it because your body is so full of protein, it has switched off the desire to eat. So basically being on the internet is kind of like just gorging yourself on bubble gum or just chewing gum and putting in new pieces of chewing gum to get that flavorful hit when you start a new piece of chewing gum. But you're always hungry and you're actually wasting away and you are deficient in nutrients. You're losing weight, you're losing energy, but you're like, I can't figure out why this is happening because I keep chewing this gum all day long. And it's just, you're not getting what you need, right? Same concept. Okay, so moving on. He talks about keeping a digital diary. And, this might be later in the book, actually. I just wrote this note. This part of the book gave me the idea, right? Because he's talking about being mindful of our motives for wanting to use and look at a device. He says, when we feel compelled to pick up the device and use it, we need to ask ourselves, what is our motivation here? Is it because I have just something important and useful to do? Or is it because I want to be distracted? I want my current feeling of boredom and dissatisfaction to be. I want to forget about that for a minute and have a quick hit of dopamine to cover that over, right? So he's talking about This is the adult way. It's to pause and say, right, am I really doing this? Do I actually have something useful to do? Or am I just avoiding an uncomfortable feeling?